What's going on, guys? And welcome to the Nutup Show. This is a podcast where we talk about pretty much anything that comes to mind in terms of what we're doing to try to live the best possible life. That is trying to be as happy as we can, trying to get as much money as we can, trying to be as healthy as we can, be the best parents, I guess. Maybe try to do that.
Yeah.
Just whatever it is. Just doing whatever it takes to live the best possible life. That's kind of what this is all about. And seeing as this is pretty much our first episode, we are probably going to talk about an overview of what that actually means for us.
Yeah.
What does it actually mean to live a good life?
Well,
what is happiness for us?
Just a bit like introducing who we are too.
Yeah.
Might be helpful.
That as well. It's not like we're any strangers to the internet. We've been around for a while too, so there's some people that probably know who we are that are listening to us.
Yep.
But we certainly can give an overview. Do you want to start with that?
Sure.
Then the floor is yours. Go right ahead.
Well, I'm Andrea, and we're married. We've been married for 16 years?
I don't even know how long.
Yeah, it was 16
Since
years.
2005. I believe.
Good. And yeah, I'm 40, soon to be 41. And yeah, we have 2 kids, almost 15 and 13. And I stay home and homeschool them and take care of the house and everything else. And I'm obsessed with fitness and health and longevity and that sort of thing. So that's my jam.
That is a quick preamble. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of questions that we can start from there. So maybe let's go back and maybe I'll ask you a few questions. Mm-hmm. In terms of what we were talking about here, in terms of Nutup and living the Nutup life, mm-hmm. when would you say that this has become something that has gained interest in your life?
That's I think a really long time, to be honest. And I think the reason, but I wouldn't call it nutting up. I was always just about, you only have one life and you need to kind of do what you want and not compromise on what you want. And it's funny because I gave Maya the funniest example of this the one day. And it was just I remember at my one job, my old boss would buy these cookies for meetings, and she's she's literally the nicest person I've ever met. Mm. And she had the most beautiful heart, but she would buy these shit cookies. They were the shittiest cookies, they're nasty. They're not even cookies. They're biscuits. They're hard and nasty. And I'm you're such an amazing person. Why are you settling for these shit cookies? Go buy the good chewy chocolate cookies.
Sure.
Do you even like this shit? But it's not compromising on things, always wanting the best for yourself and that perfectionism and stuff. So I think I've been like that for a long time. And it's something that's kind of been ingrained in me since I was little, because I always remember my grandparents, the motto was carpe diem, seize the day. And so it's been like that for a long time, but then I don't think it really crystallized for us until a few years ago, I think.
That's interesting. I guess I'm going to approach this from a little bit of a different angle and give a little bit of a different take for me, is that I guess in my mind, I've always wanted to, set off on my own path and do what made me happy and all these things that, I guess most people want, right? I just want to travel, or I just want to do this or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that I've ever really seriously actually lived by it, to be honest. If you go back through my life and our life together, I could say probably pretty honestly that a lot of the time, the things that would happen to us and the choices we make would be more reactionary as opposed to proactive.
Yes.
So while it was all well and good when I was younger, or, I'd have these thoughts of I'm just going to be a musician, or, I'm just going to start my own job and become rich or whatever. I never really truly gave it 100% to actually try to achieve those things.
Right.
So I don't even know what you'd want to call that. Not saying, being fake or anything like that, right? But it's just like, it's like one of those things where it's like, that would be really nice. But then you just go back and sit on the computer or sit in front of the TV or whatever. And you don't actually follow through. And then at the end of the day, you're like, well, shit, 41 years have passed by in my life, and be like, well, where am I? I am not really where I wanted to be. And why is that?
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think that's, for me, the biggest reason for starting, this new website we have, this Nutup life, and, creating this podcast and creating these mechanisms to tell our story as we go through this process, is that it's been, like I said, for me, 41 years. It's like, enough's enough. I want to live the life that I've always wanted to live. And the only way that I'm going to be able to do that is to just get to work and slowly but surely pick at the things that I want to improve my life in order to get to where I want to go.
Yep.
And like, as an example, I've always just wanted to live on a lake. Like, I don't want to be this crazy millionaire or anything like that. I just want to have a house on a lake so I can go swimming, like simple like that. And, why don't I have that? There could be multiple reasons for why I don't have that, because I didn't get the right job or whatever. But I've had some decent jobs throughout my whole career, and I've made some decent money. And, it's through not being very good financially, making very poor financial decisions. This just ended up being that wasn't able to buy a house on a lake, right? So, and that you'd even talk about my fitness and health, where I just yo-yo constantly, where it's like, I want to be at a certain level of body fat percentage, for example, right? And for a while, I'll get motivated and I'll lose a whole lot of weight, and then it'll slowly start to creep back in, because I don't know, just reasons, right? It's just because I react to things that happen in my life. Where, I hurt my back, so I can't work out anymore. Yeah. Or something like this happened at work, or there's a situation that happened in our life. It's like, it's a big thing, so I might as well just eat pizza or whatever, right? Yeah. So it's there's just all these things that I've wanted to do or where I want to be and are not there. And like, now's the time to just stop making excuses and stop not doing the things that I need to do in order to get to where I want to be and where we want to be. To be honest. So there's lots of things that I want to do and that I want to accomplish in my life. And maybe you get to this point where you're in your 40s or whatever, and you realize like, oh shit, like half my life is gone. Like, oh my God, that's a big chunk of life. Yeah. And a lot of it has been, like I said, it's reacting to situations as opposed to me controlling the outcome, right? So that's in a nutshell for me, I guess. In a nutshell, what Nutup means to me. And it's really just about being honest with myself and saying like, all these things that I've done in my life, I kind of, made the wrong decisions and made the wrong choices and, just totally screwed up. And then, got to own it, learn from it, and move forward. Well, yeah, like I think, number one, like there has been shit that's happened in our lives that we cannot control. Oh, for sure. We have had no other choice but to be reactionary. So like give yourself a bit of a break. No, I totally understand that. I can always go back in time, right? Like for example, you're talking about stuff that happened to us, like when I was in grad school, and Tristan was born, and then he's 2 years old or whatever it was, and he gets diagnosed with autism or whatever, out of our control, nothing we can do. Yeah. And that was just completely crazy. But the thing was, we were broke. I was doing grad school. It was like literally making no money or whatever. Yeah. And, I could go back and say like, well, why is it that before then, even from after I finished high school all the way till when Tristan was born, I mean, that was like a 6-year process. why didn't I make the right choices in order to save up money or in order to be better financially or what have you? It's just those things like that. So it's not looking at it as, I'm not sitting here beating myself up saying I made bad choices or regret or anything like that. It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
But it's like being honest and saying, you know what? Like I fucked up a lot of shit back then.
Yeah.
In terms of, especially in terms of finances, that, you know, now, you know, we're paying for it or we've paid for it and, you know, we have to fix that. Yeah. Right. You know, so one thing, I'll talk about this a lot.
Of course.
In the future, but in the past, or I'll talk about this in the future, but things like compound interest, right? If you save $100 a month for like 20 years, but how much 20 to 40, we'd have, of course, I don't know, whatever it is, you know, $500,000 or whatever. Right. So,
but I guess like the thing is like, I think it's really important. It's really important to take personal responsibility for things and to not just be a victim of circumstance, because stuff does happen, but it's to be able to recognize, to be able to take that personal responsibility and, maybe we did make mistakes, but then it's being able to own up to those mistakes and learn 100%. From them and learn from them. And that's where the growth happens.
That's life. I mean, everyone makes mistakes and it's what happens after that mistake and what you do with that information that you gather from it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with personal responsibility. Yeah. It's a big thing. And it's a thing that I know that I don't know if you could say I believe in it, but I think it's like probably the most important thing that you can do in life, right? Like whether you want to lose weight or whether you want to build better relationships with your family or friends, be a better parent, be a better worker or whatever. Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to the decisions and the choices that you make that are going to affect what kind of person you're going to become and what relationships you're going to build, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you want to lose weight, I mean, you could easily blame McDonald's and like, oh, McDonald's is just so addictive. It just forces me to eat there. And like their ads are so tasty that I just can't help myself. It's like, well, you know, that's one way to look at it. And yes, their food is engineered to be as addictive as possible. Like I'm not going to dispute that because it is. But that being said, you don't have to go to McDonald's to eat your meals all the time, right? McDonald's doesn't say to you, no, don't wake up in the morning and go for a walk for half an hour or whatever, right? So you have
and I guess the other thing, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, because we'll probably do a whole podcast on personal responsibility.
Get into it right now.
But the point is I think, why would you give over that much control to someone else? Whether it's a corporation or a person or a job, like why would you give control over? Like, no way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, for sure. No, for sure.
So the only other option is to take personal responsibility. And then it just goes back. Do you want to be a victim of circumstance or do you want to be a survivor? And survivor every time is what I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes total sense. So when it comes to us living the Nutup life and we're starting this journey together, do you want to list, I have some ideas, but do you want to list maybe some big buckets in terms of things that you want to accomplish in life, in our life? Like what are the big goals that you have?
Why don't you start?
Well, okay. I mean, I could start. There's a few things. I would say for me, there's like 4 big buckets.
Yep.
So the first one is finances.
Yep.
And really just nutting up our finances, which means that I want us to be 100% completely financially independent, which means we are responsible for bringing in our own income or our own money that is going to help sustain our family.
Yep.
So what I mean by that is right now I have to go to work at a job for an employer. And if they decide to not employ me anymore through whatever reason, then I don't have an income and then we can't eat. We have nowhere to get food.
Yeah.
Right. So that has to change because that's, again, we're kind of talking about control or whatever. That's not for me. That's not what I want. I'm not saying there's anything wrong. If you're listening, like, I love my job.
That's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you want that, that's no problem there. But for me and my lifestyle and what I want to be like being an entrepreneur is my thing. To create something that sustains me and my family is just absolutely what I want. So there's that aspect of gaining complete control over our finances and getting to the point where if we never even have to work again, then that is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Money making money. That's kind of the nice thing. Yeah. So that's one thing. And then the second thing, which could maybe be more important than finances, is health, our health and our fitness and nutrition, whatever you want to call it. I've tried so many times, and you've seen it on YouTube or whatever, where I do all these challenges. The last one I lost like 50 pounds, 55, I don't know what it is. And then since then, we've ended last summer, I've gained about 20 pounds back. So not nearly as heavy as I was at the heaviest, but still, it's like, oh my God, it's like all like, I go through these phases. Like I said earlier, it's just, I lose weight and then I lose gain. Yeah. And why is that? So I need to figure that out.
But I think that's directly related to the first.
The finances, it's very well can be. It's one of those things where if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're not as happy doing those things, it does take an emotional toll on you, I guess, if that's
100%.
That's the way.
You find ways to cope.
Yeah. And I know, obviously for me, food is definitely my big, it's not even food. It's just like, it's pizza really. Like,
well, it's pop.
Yeah. And pop too.
Poison water.
Poison water. Yeah. So I guess, those are two really bad things. So, but I generally make my own pizza. So at least there's some.
Okay. You're rationalizing, but
you're right. See, I'll own up to that one. Rationalizing that is delicious.
Well, and I think for me, like that's the number one bucket for me is you can't spend money and you can't have experiences if you feel like shit. So that being in good shape and being healthy, that's super important to me. Yeah,
it all ties in together because you're right. Because I mean, oftentimes if I'm at a heavier weight or whatever, it's like I feel like shit. I don't feel like going anywhere because I don't feel comfortable in the clothes that I wear.
Exactly.
Other people do. I mean, that's fine. That's great. I mean.
Yeah, well, and then you don't want to take that money that you've worked so hard to make and have to spend it on, pharmaceuticals for high blood pressure or whatever chronic disease you get from eating like shit. So, yep.
No, absolutely. So that's something that we're going to be monitoring very closely here as we move forward, because that has to stop in terms of my constant yo-yoing. It's like I need to get down to where I want to be, 5% body fat or whatever the hell it is. That's it. I don't want to look like a Schwarzenegger kind of thing or whatever. I mean, if I was like that, I wouldn't complain, obviously. But I need to be, I want to have low body fat so I can have strength and I can have energy and mobility. Yeah. I mean, those are the biggest things for me. And of course, with me, it's my lower back pain, which I've had since 11 years now. Been struggling with literally every day. I have lower back pain. And it kind of goes back to another thing when I was a kid of what I said I'd never wanted my life to be like. And it was, I hated computers and I never want to sit at a desk. I'm like, I hate computers and I never, ever, ever want to have a job where I'm sitting in front of a computer all day. And that's like exactly what I've been doing for the past 11 years. It's funny because it's not that I hate doing that though. Because I mean, like realistically, I mean, computers allows me to be creative and all that kind of stuff. So you're working on videos or whatever. It's like a drawing, illustrated. Like I love that kind of stuff. And even creating websites, it's like a creative side. So I love that. But it's just, I need to get a much better balance for how I'm taking care of my body, how well I'm strengthening my body, and how well I am navigating, sitting, standing, and moving or whatever to keep the blood flowing so that my body can basically heal itself.
Yep.
Hopefully. I mean, that's the point, right? Like I've been talking about trying to heal lower back pain, and I'll go through these cycles where sometimes it's really, really good and other times it's really, really bad. But is it possible to completely eliminate? I don't know. I'm going to, over the next probably 2 years, I'm going to try to figure out if I can really just completely cure this thing. I think it is possible, but I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of hard work.
Yep.
And a lot of sacrifices, at least in terms of how often I'm sitting at a computer. So that's a whole other thing too. Whereas it's hard when your livelihood is dependent on it. We'll have to figure that out. So that's the first two. The third one, I think, has to do, well, I don't think I know, just has to do with building meaningful relationships. There's lots of stuff that we've read over the past while here about how important your social structure is to your overall health and longevity.
Yes.
And it's something that nobody seems to be talking about at all. But like, what are you saying? It's like it accounts for like 80% of your health. I don't know what part of your health.
Yeah, it's so much. Like the studies that they've done on this, it's really incredible because, and this is one thing I had told you, even just relating to how maybe lockdowns are not the best thing for us. It was more evidence suggesting that people's immune systems, when they're socially isolated, are
just decrease.
They're not able to mount that same immune response. So I mean, but it's all relative, right? Because there's some people that like to be by themselves,
right,
and there's some people that need more interaction, like extroverts. I can see with this, it would be really difficult for them. For me, it's not so bad. Like, right. I don't need to be out with people all the time, and sometimes it gets too much for me. Right. So sure. it's definitely all relative. But I think all the studies coming out showing like how important that community and your the quality of your relationships. So, and
that's another thing too. And we're talking about family as well too, not just friends, right? So like it's family, building those relationships with family as well too. Yeah. And that's something that I've struggled with, that I'm not as close to family members as I want to be. And it's something that you need to work on, just like marriage or parenting or whatever. It's all relationships, and you need to work on it.
You got to put in the work.
Yeah. So that's really, really critical.
Yes.
It's just developing that, and to having some friends too. I don't have very many friends outside of work friends or some older friends that I just talk online. But in terms of people to just go out and hang out, I don't really have that. So it'd be nice.
Again, like, not to not take personal responsibility, but we like literally moved to Halifax. We were here for such a short time, and then the pandemic hit.
Right. It's pretty hard to make
friends when everyone's locked down. So, I mean, that there is that as well.
Yeah. So. That is a thing.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And the fourth thing, and this is maybe more of a minor thing,
but it's interested. I was going to say I'm interested in it because I don't even. But it's important. Can't even think of it. No,
it's important to me. Well, it's kind of It's
just say it.
Well, okay. It's just about living minimally, and basically, I want to say like be a minimalist, because that's a different. That definition means so many different things to so many different people.
Like I said, it's like the social thing. It's all relative.
It's all relative. Yeah. But for me, if I had to define it, right, it's just basically living in a way that everything that I have, that I own, literally serves a function. And if it's something that has to be stored away because I never use it or whatever, it's like I got to get rid of it, right? So it's like I got to get rid of all the clutter and all the junk that doesn't add value in my life. And it's... that's things, people, habits, all those kinds of things, right? So it's really being very, very mindful of the things that I bring in to my life, I guess you can say. What are you smiling at?
I'm just thinking about all your gear, and then I'm thinking about...
No, for sure.
And then I'm just thinking about the big world map decoration you bought for the entry hall, but it brings joy to you.
I never said not to have anything. No, of course, I need some stuff to do things. But we need I know you. Yes, I know. I'm just saying. I don't know why you have to bring this up to everybody. Like this is not. We're allowed to have some things, and that was to hang keys up, but it didn't work. It didn't work, but that's fine.
We can hang our masks there.
Yeah. Well, the kids seem to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Anyways, but those are the 4 things.
So can I add one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because mine align with you as well. And I think the other thing that's really, really important to me is growth and
Right, personal growth and development.
yes. And for me, that's going to be different for everyone, what they're interested in. But for me, the amount of reading I do is a little nuts. And I always have at least like 2 or 3 books on the go, but that's so important to me. And that search up for knowledge and reading the latest research that's coming out about, mostly it's health and fitness or
Right.
something in biology, like that's really, really important to me. And I think that also helps with the health aspect, because when you're learning, your brain is active and it's not getting stagnant. So
Right.
that feeds into it.
It really helps me because I get to ask you all these questions.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if I eat this, what's going to happen to my insulin? What does it mean if,
You will die.
what if it means if I'm ketosis? What is this? What if I eat this? What's going to happen?
You will die.
I guess I'll die eventually. So that's the answer for everything. But yeah, no, it's good to bounce ideas off of you, or to not bounce ideas, but just to ask you what is going on, because I don't follow up with any of this stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's good to know. Yeah. Personal development is a huge thing. And I think that's one thing that can really help to add value to people's lives, to add happiness. It's like, what are the things that you just kind of enjoy doing, that you can just kind of get into that flow state of doing and being in the moment?
Yeah.
Don't really take the time to do that anymore.
And it doesn't have to be, it's all about something that like really interests you. Like I'm really interested in biology and like basic science. And I have a whole book just
like the basic science.
Like
as simple as you can make it.
No, but like I have like a whole book just on mitochondria. What normal person reads books about mitochondria that's in their 40s for fun? Like I really enjoyed that book. But that's what I'm saying. Like that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's only for me.
So it's interesting. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
What would you say to somebody who says, hey, that sounds like a really good idea, but I don't really know what I'm interested in? What would you recommend that they do?
I don't know. Maybe that's a tough one. I don't know. I don't know. Just to go take a walk in the nonfiction section of the library or the bookstore and just walk around. Because even just today when I was out,
see what catches your interest.
What catches your eye? Like what's interesting? Or look at like the top podcast. Is true crime your thing? Like true crime is like, there's so many podcasts, there's so many really interesting books and different forensic techniques and stuff. Like that's cool. Think about maybe like, what were you really into as a kid? Like go back to your childhood. What really were you into? Yeah. Or what would make your life better?
I was into blowing bubbles, saying I should become a bubbleologist.
Do it.
Is that even a thing?
Probably. No, but that's where I would start. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Or like, what were your favorite classes in like high school or college or university? Like, what did you just really enjoy learning about? For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're really into music. Who knows?
Yeah.
Pick that up.
Yeah, for sure.
Up a skill. Learn how to do wood carving or make jewelry. There's so many things that you could.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like nonfiction. It could be fiction too. I know there's tons of people
talking about if you just want to read.
Like, sure. I think even just reading fiction is really important.
Right. Fiction is the not real stuff.
Not real. Yeah.
Perfect. If it's not real, why don't they call it nonfiction?
I can't explain this to you.
I don't have the answers. I always get those two confused.
I know you do.
Obviously, still have yet to remember that.
Yeah.
It's not on my list of things to do.
No.
To understand those words. So I'm really excited. So we have this new website that we have, which is really, really cool because I'm excited about it. Because it's kind of going to be our home base to documenting everything that we're doing in order to net up.
Yep.
So, I mean, obviously this podcast is going to be posted on there.
Yep.
I'm going to be doing a weekly video series on our personal finances. So that's going to be interesting because we are going to get in depth and up close and personal and honest about all the shit decisions that we have made regarding finances.
Awesome.
And just getting down and dirty and fixing everything so that we can hopefully in a few years become millionaires.
I feel like I'd rather have a colonoscopy than do that.
Well, if at the end of the colonoscopy is $1 million,
I'd do it.
there you go, right? Sometimes the path to success is crawling through a bucket of shit, I guess. What is that? Shawshank Redemption. Yeah. So anyway, so that's going to be interesting.
So you're doing that once a week. We have the podcast.
So I have the podcast going. We're just going to talk about, I don't know, a bunch of random stuff, I would imagine.
Probably.
It won't be random at all, actually. It'll be stuff that's all related to what we're doing in terms of, trying to live the best life possible. We'll throw in some articles every once in a while with the stuff that you're reading and researching and just stuff that you want to dump some of your knowledge out there. So that's going to be cool. And one new thing that we have is our kind of membership site that we have where people can join if they like the stuff that we do. Absolutely, I'll say that I don't want anybody to join who doesn't love the stuff that we do. So it's not any kind of thing to force anybody to join because I want everything that we do to be out there for free. Because this is how I picture this going, is that in like 4 years from now, we're like super successful. Business is like making tons of money. We're like super ripped, like the best shape of our lives. And we're super minimal. We have everything that we want. Our relationships are amazing. And people will be like, how did you guys do that? I'd be like, we have 4 years of weekly or daily content or whatever. This is where we were at this point where guys weighed 185 pounds, just kind of fat ass, whatever, back's hurting, just living paycheck to paycheck, whatever, right? Just a hot mess to that and be like, there's the play. I want that to be available for everyone.
Yeah. Because you never hear the story. Yeah. You always just see the end point.
Yeah. You hear lots of people. Yeah. A lot of people, they have their channels like, this is how to make the money or whatever. When it's good advice and whatever, it's all great. But it's like, I would love to see you at the time when you weren't successful and what was your thought process going there or what was your thought process going on? Because I don't know what it's like. Like what I want to do is I want to build a business. And I have a business already. It's called Data Shift. So I want to take this company and build it to something that can make us a whole bunch of money or whatever by providing, I also want to do good services, not some kind of scam or whatever. But I have no idea how to do that. No idea how to do that. So you can have an idea, but how do you take it from something that people are going to actually pay for, right? Yeah. So I'm going to document that whole process, right? And if it ends up being successful, that's going to be something that I'm hopeful that a lot of people are going to be able to look back on and say like, wow, this stuff is really, really valuable content and information. Help me live a better life or whatever. And then I just want that to be freely available to anyone. Yep. So anyways, with all that being said, there's going to be a few things that we're going to have, like some behind the scenes things, Zoom hangouts with us, which will be kind of fun. So just something that we want to say thank you to those that actually do want to help, support the show and join our membership program. So
for sure.
So anyways, I'm just really excited about that.
Yes.
So I'm just looking forward to doing this. It's going to be a lot of work because we actually need to work on doing the things that we want to do. Yeah. And then pumping it out there for people to see. So, but I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be good.
I think so too.
I think this time is going to be the time that things stick with us. Yes. So the weight will stay off. And
the business will grow.
And that'll keep going. And then hello Lake House.
Hello Lake House.
Oh yeah. Which would be nice. Anyways, that's I don't know. I think that's all I have. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I think that's it.
It's a good intro to all the peeps out there.
Yeah.
Good intro to us. the Nutup life. Not so much us, but whatever. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
You'll get to know us as you listen along to us.
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to do that. Force people to listen. You are not going to change the channel. You're going to like, listen, comment, and subscribe. Well, that's all I have. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Yes.
We really appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
Yep.
Hope you guys have a good one.
Yeah.
Hope you guys
nut up this week.
Yeah. Just nut up, follow us along on our journey, and let us know how you're doing.
Yeah.
I wanna know how your nuts are going.
That's weird.
I want to see your nuts. This is okay. There's so many puns.
Why'd you have to make that weird?
It was weird a long time ago.
This is true.
It's just how it is.
That's how you are.
All right.
Okay.
So thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.